Okay, and we're on. So, Konrad, I wanted to welcome you to this hangout and thank you for taking the time to join me. We'll be talking about the challenges web hosts typically face and how each of our companies solve these problems. So, can
Right.
you start by telling me a bit about yourself? How did you get involved with the web hosting industry, the services you provide, and so on?
Yes. So, well, about the module garden itself. So I founded this company over 5 years ago, seeing there was a huge demand for hosters to modify their systems, mostly billing systems and automation systems. And as every small business, initially it was a small business. I was making those modifications myself, and after some point, I've realized that the demand was really huge, and decided to enlarge the company. So now we have over 50 people here in our office in Poland. So, well, the whole point, and I realized that after some time that um, the hosting companies, every single hosting company want to also enlarge their business to make more, get more customers, and obviously make more money, is they need to have some unique advantage. They need to have something unique comparing to other companies. And I think that, well, that's the whole point of our business, that we are helping hosting companies to get that unique advantage. So that's most about Modules Garden.
Yes, excellent point. There are lots of web hosts out there, and if you look at their websites, they're not very different at the first glance. So you really need to work on the minor tweakings and the automation of the backend and so on. So I think that's where your role comes in, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, initially there were small tweaks. Initially there were some small automation in the background that even end customers didn't see. Now we are making a whole range of different services that help those hosting companies to improve their service.
Okay, so why did you decide to focus on web hosts? Did you do that from the start, or when you saw the demand high, you switched to focusing on web hosts only?
Yeah, so I started the business as a programmer, and my personal experience was also with some other software for hosting companies. So, well, it was rather that I tried to see the demand, and well, I've made a couple of projects myself, and I've seen that, well, this is the way I can build the business, and there is a demand that I can fulfill.
Yeah, interesting. So, what are some of the challenges typically web hosts face when establishing their technical infrastructure? Because I know you're more involved on the technical side.
Yes, technical side, but not on the server level. Typically, when there's a hosting company, they already have their administrators. They already know how to set up server, how to provide a good performance, or how to set up their servers. We rather help those hosting companies with automating it from user perspective. We help them to provide proper interface. We help them to it's more about end customer, handling end customer properly, so the experience of the end customer is maybe you remember 10 or 15 years ago when you had a hosting and you wanted to have a website, you needed to have a webmaster or someone who already knew how to use those tools. You had to know how the system works. Now every every bigger provider, take DigitalOcean for example, you can really know nothing about hosting, and you can just click in a few places and you get your service automatically created. So as a Modules Garden, we try to focus on that level to simplify the process of handling services for the end customers.
Yes, that's very interesting. I remember the early days of the web. I used to have to publish my site using front page and edit all of these HTML files, and typically a website would take, I would say, hours and hours to get done. These days, in an hour or so, you can get a really good website up there.
Yeah, and you had to read all those documentations and try on different forums, ask people how to do some stuff, while 80% of your stuff was very basic, and you shouldn't really think about it. It wasn't very unstandard, and most of the customers using hosting companies are getting frustrated, especially for the hosting companies that don't upgrade or update their systems. They probably stop at some point, and customers are getting frustrated because knowing how hosting works is not their business. Their business is to make a website. Their business is to run their store, sell their own business and their own maybe e-commerce, but not manage their hosting. It's not their business. It's not something that they can focus on.
Yes, exactly. And when you work with the web hosts in order to automate and simplify the process as much as possible, it gives the end customer an even better experience.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is what
so
we are. Yes.
Yeah, and so I see where you fill this gap for web hosts. But there's a follow-up question I have here. I mean, I know the demand is huge for custom development services for web hosts. And a proof of that is that your company has grown to more than 50 employees in a few years. But yet, when I researched about companies who specialize in development for web hosts, I didn't find that many. Do you think, is it because developers need to have a good understanding of web hosting in order to provide such solutions, or is it a different reason?
Well, it's hard for me to say why there's not too many companies like that. Maybe because, yeah, I personally was already in the hosting business, so I already knew what this all about and what we can do to improve that whole process. Maybe when maybe when a programmer is starting their career or trying to make a business, they are not really considering hosting because they don't know it very well. That's my thought. I'm not really sure why. Well, that's good for us.
Yeah, of course it's good. I think there's an entry barrier there. You need to understand servers. You need to understand how a web hosting company works, and so on. There are. It's not just about getting a website up there and you're done. You need to understand what the business is trying to do, what is their objective, and so on. So this is why one needs to be involved in the web hosting industry in a certain way before being able to offer their development services.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried hiring developers who had no clue about web hosting to build a WHMCS module, for example. So they would have to learn about WHMCS, about servers, about hosting, and then they'll have to code.
Right. So their job as programmer is really a small part of the whole project. So yeah, I think that this is the whole point.
Yes, exactly. So typically when you recruit developers, do they go through some formal training process, or they have already an understanding of the web hosting industry?
Well, it's very hard to find a programmer who already know more about hosting. So we are handling trainings for them. Of course, there is some period when they can play with the WHMCS or other systems to know them. We also have, every developer have a manager, someone who is already experienced, who can guide them through the whole project, how to do it. They get more specification. Programmers have much, they don't get only what needs to be done, but also how it needs to be done from someone who is already experienced. So we have that structure in the company that helps them to provide proper quality and save time, not search through the whole website and whole internet to get the solution.
Yes, exactly. So I think now as the company is growing, you should have more of a culture where everyone really understands the hosting industry, and it's easier for new developers to enter now rather than at the earlier days, maybe.
Yes, exactly. And this is something that we've improved recently, definitely, because I'm now not even managing every single developer in the company. It becomes just impossible for that scale. So we have, as I said, that structure that already delivered know-how to every single person in the company.
Yes. So typically, do clients ask to work with developers directly, or they want the projects done? How does it usually work?
So could you repeat that last question?
Yes. So let's say I'm a hosting company and I want to have some custom development to do. Do they typically lease a developer full-time and then they manage them, or do they ask you to implement certain features and do you manage the whole process? How does it work?
Well, it depends on the project. We have, in terms of custom projects, we have a few ways, but the most common are that you talk with our advisor that is already experienced in hosting integrations. That advisor is also not a developer, so they communicate with the technical team to get some more details how it can be integrated in the system, and they give you a ballpark price or even a quotation. If it's as soon as they get whole picture, they can give you a quotation for a fixed price. But there are also some projects that cannot be just simply quoted because there's not enough information, or we are working on some different code, and it would have to be verified very deeply. So instead of wasting time on investigation, we just handle it on hourly basis.
Okay, I understand. So another question would be, does most of your work consist of customizing existing systems like WHMCS, Ubersmith, and so on? Or do you get requests to build stuff from scratch?
Yeah, so maybe this way. We have custom development for existing solutions like WHMCS, or as you mentioned, Ubersmith, not very often, but also Blesta. For cPanel, Plesk, and Direct Admin, so for the control panels. We also work with other systems, not only for hosting companies, but other than that, we also provide ready products on our marketplace that you can install out of the box and provide more functionality to you or your customers. And then we also provide standalone application development. So it really depends on what do you really need.
Yes, exactly. I've taken a look at some of your products, and many of them are very successful. Seems like most out-of-the-box software need customization. For example, if I remember correctly, there was one CRM plugin for WHMCS which was very successful. So it seems to me that there is a marketing side that isn't being addressed by all of these systems. For example, the CRM tool helps them track leads and market their business and so on. So what I'm trying to say is that no matter how much customizable off-the-shelf software are, there will still be a time that you need to develop something custom, right?
Correct. Yes. So you know, as I mentioned before, you know, every single company have their own demands, so it's really hard to provide a software and solution that covers every single case. It's just not possible by its meaning. So, you know, I think that most of our products cover, well, most of the demands on top of the default average MCS for most of the hosting companies, but there will be always a demand for something that is unique, and you just simply cannot offer something like your competition exactly the same. You just need to have that unique approach for your customers.
Exactly. Speaking of unique, I recently featured your software Easy DCIM in an article. So it's quite a unique piece, and really does a good job of managing data center. It's a data center management software. So can you tell me a bit about it? Where did the idea come from, and how it's evolving right now?
You mean EasyCIM now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So right now, something that I've recently, a word that I've recently discovered was that we are focusing on admin experience. So something that administrator managing dedicated servers can leverage, because most of the systems, like we discussed for typical hosting, are very low level. You need to make a lot of things manually. You need to waste a lot of time on things that shouldn't take you so much time. So we are now focusing on making the software much more easy to use, and we will be providing even some blog articles about how many time are you saving every day for a single feature that we release. We'll be improving the interface. We'll be improving. We'll be providing a lot of automation for daily tasks.
Yeah, about improving the interface, it's already brilliant. I mean, I'm not sure what else you can improve there, but
yeah, believe me, we already have a lot of ideas how, take adding a server, for example. We've been making some internal investigation that, adding some devices takes you, say, 20, 30 seconds. We'll be trying to reduce it to 10 seconds. Multiply that for a few times every day, and you will get a few minutes or even a few hours every month. That's always something.
Yeah, I mean, the time saving is a huge. You'd say 20 seconds is nothing, but multiply it by the number of times you'll be adding a server as system administrator.
Yeah.
And it will be huge. So it's great you're thinking that way. I'm very sure you asked your users for feedback on how to improve the system, right?
Exactly. We get maybe not every day, but people always have some suggestions, and we are trying to choose the most important, especially for that admin experience, to provide better software. There will be always a place to improve, so that's what we do.
Yes. So typically, how do you gather suggestions from users? Do they reach out to you, or you reach out to them? How does it work?
Well, both. So they can always provide some feedback anytime they want through our system, and we are always happy to maybe help them or put it on our roadmap. But also we are talking with our customers, and periodically we try to gather some additional feedback. Not everyone wants to come to you and share it. Some people just appreciate when you ask them directly. So we try to reach out to every customer we have and ask for a feedback.
Yes, totally agree. The more you engage your customers, the more you're fulfilling their needs. So
exactly.
Yes. All right, I think that's it. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, what can I say? That was a nice experience. As I said, this was first interview like that for me. So I hope it was people could get some extra knowledge. Whenever someone would have some questions, I'm always happy to debate. What I could suggest for hosting companies is to think about your customers. Try to be your customers for 1 or 2 days. Use your own system and see what else could be improved, because as for our software, that's always for everyone, that there's always room to improve your service, and if you focus on your customers, they will be happy and your business will grow.
Yes, totally agree. Like I said earlier, web hosts typically look the same. So one has to put the extra effort to differentiate themselves through custom development, through branding and marketing, and so on.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Konrad. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.